So if you're a long-time viewer of this channel, you'll know that I like dogbox, or used to. So dogbox is a deck that basically functions around the eevees. Obviously, recently it has been getting a little bit weirder. As you can see, this is a list that I pulled up on Limitless TCG, and it is very interesting. You have a thicker line of the Pidgeots. You've also got Dusk Noirs thrown in here. It just looks like discount Dragonbolt, right? So today we aren't really looking at dogbox itself. We're not really looking at what it is right now, because definitely right now it is having an identity crisis. So it is currently in a weird position. But what we are going to be looking at instead is something that I think is what the deck could look like in the future, and I guess a little bit of a different version of the deck. So in the very near future, there is a card coming out called Mega Dragonite EX, and Mega Dragonite has a pretty decent ability, which is that you switch, right? It lets you switch one of your Pokemon with another one of your Pokemon, which is pretty cool. And then Dragon Glide for Water Double Lightning. It does 330 damage and discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. That's pretty good, right? 330 damage is a really cool number to hit. That kills things like Dragapult, right? That kills things like Gardevoir. It kills any like basic mega, kills like Kanga, right? Kills Absol. It kills things like Dengo. It kills things like Cerulege. It kills any basic EX as well, obviously. But that's not really, you know, the main reason that it kills like baby guys, right? It kills Dragapult, it one-shots Dragapult, it one-shots Gardy, and it has some pretty decent stability, right? With Gardevoir leaving soon, this card is probably going to get stronger, seeming as there's not going to be an immediate threat to your 370 HP, because when Gardy leaves, so does Goldengo. But then again, if you're playing against Goldengo, you're not really going to be evolving into this, you know, bigger guy. You're not going to be evolving into this 370 HP behemoth of a Pokemon. You're also not going to be evolving into this guy in against Gardevoir, right? So why is it good if there are some decks that are committing 5, maybe even sometimes 6 deck spots to this card and its pre-evolutions? Well, we first have to take a look at its pre-evolutions. So Dragonair is the reason this card is actually being included into these decks, because it has an amazing ability, Evolution Guidance. Once during a turn, if this Pokemon has any energy attached to it, you may use this ability, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, put it to your hand. And immediately when I read that, you can see why it is so good. So obviously your deck functions quite heavily with evolution Pokemon. So this deck right now isn't running the Terra, but if we take a look at this deck over here, sorry, this is the exact same deck. It's this one over here. There you go. This is the one I was supposed to look at. So as here, you can see that this deck obviously functions with quite a few evolution Pokemon. The evolutions being your EVs, and the draw engine, or the engine of the deck being the Noctowl. Being able to search out for Flareons, search out for Leafeons, and search out for Noctowls, basically having a portable Ultra Ball, is incredibly powerful. This is really strong, because it just means that if your opponent spams you with Ionos, spams you with Judges, plays Unfair Stamp, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a Dragonair in play with an energy attached to it, you can use that to search out for a Noctowl and get access to the entirety of your deck yet again, right? It is a very strong card. And you know, you're thinking, well, why is this better than Pidgeot, right? You know, you're thinking, yeah, Pidgeot can, you know, get me any card. Well, the thing is, this is a one prizer, right? That people aren't really going to be targeting this one prizer, and it can just, with an energy, it can search out for a Noctowl. And with Noctowl, you can search out for 2 of any other things. A lot of times with Pidgeot, you'll usually be searching out for a Noctowl, right? And this is a stage 1, right? So against a matchup like Dragapult, where Iono spam is so prevalent and so, you know, difficult to get out of, and especially like while you're under Badoo lock, it can get difficult, right? It can definitely get quite difficult. Because Badoo prevents items means you can't get into Pidgeot, because obviously in regular Dogbox, it goes from Pidgey into Pidgeot with the Rare Candy, right? But we can't play Rare Candy if we're under Badoo lock. But we can very much so evolve from a Dratini into a Dragonair using something like Hilda. We can now go Noctowl for Hilda and whatever else we need. We need Crystal, and we can go Hilda for any energy card and Dragonair. And bam, we evolve our Dragonair, we attach an energy that turn, and then we can probably use something like Burning Charge that turn, whatever, doesn't matter. And now we have constant access to evolutions and also our knockdowns, right? So very, very powerful card, and something that I think is going to be really, really strong moving forward, especially moving forward. Dragapult loses the ability to ping one of our Hootuts with Hawlucha, right? So they don't really have that play anymore where they go bench, they go ping Hawlucha with, they go ping the Hootut with Hawlucha, boss up a different Hootut, and then knock out double Hootut, right? They don't have access to that play anymore, which is really good for us. It means we will usually have access to multiple Hootuts, and it's very nice. And this means it also opens up, obviously we're not playing the what is that thing called? The Clefairy. We don't need to play the Clefairy, because with Gravity Mountain, we can one-shot a Dragapult with Carnelian, right? Or we can also just use the attack of this guy. I forgot his name. What's his English name? Japanese name is Kairyu. I don't remember the English name. Dragon guy. Big dragon guy. We got dogs and dragons. So you can use Dragon Guy, right? Because you're always going to have an energy attached to your Dragonair, right? Dragonite, that's his name. And that means if you have either a water or a lightning attached to him, it means you are always one Crispin away from getting access to the Dragonite. And you might be thinking, well, how do you get the Dragonite, right? You can just use the ability to search for a Dragonite and evolve it straight away, right? So it just means essentially, since you're playing I would probably play a 2-2-1 line, because this card is so damn good, because just these two cards are so good, right? Because this one can get you evolutions. It can also just turn into a beat stick. And I think it's honestly quite nice that it requires you to have an energy attached to it, because it means it's never going to get stranded that badly, right? Sometimes you can get punished for it. Might be a little bit difficult, but now obviously with energy switch, we can do something like manual attach to this guy, even like a fire energy. We can manual attach a fire energy to this guy, use the ability to grab the Noctowl for let's say boss, if we needed boss for game, and E-switch, and then we can energy switch from this guy onto our Flareon, and then use boss's orders, right? In my opinion, very, very strong card, right? And then, like I said, as soon as like maybe end of the game, it's like, you know, you don't really need access to knockdowns anymore, or, you know, you just need to make sure you have another attacker for the following turn. You just go evolve. I mean, you use the ability, search your deck for the Kairyu, evolve the guy, and then Crispin for, you know, now they have to deal with either 370 HP Kairyu, who's swinging for 330 and has permanent switch, which means you can't go like boss knocked out clutch. Or you have to deal with whatever's inactive, whether that is a Flareon or whether that is a Leafeon, right? It just means it is very, very powerful. In my opinion, this really does feel like the best way to play this deck moving forward, right? It really does. This kind of like engine here, the Flareon into the Kairyu, kind of feels like Arceus Giratina in a way, because this is your V-Star power, right? And this is your Giratina, because Giratina hits hard, right? And something that we could cut moving forward, right, is we could cut the Sparkling Crystal and we could play something like a Max Belt, right? Because I feel like in this deck, you are going to be using Burning Charge very, very often. So you will probably be in the beginning of the game using Crispin, right? And then Max Belt means now you can swing for very good numbers with this guy. You can swing for very good numbers with Moss Agate. You can swing for great numbers with the second attack, the Carnelian, right? And it just means other things like Terapagos might get more value out of it, right? So I think Max Belt could be a really good way to play the deck, but then I think you would probably want to play something more like this first version, like I showed, without the knockdowns. I think this could be quite cool. Obviously, this is a thinner 1-1-1 line, and I guess in this version of the deck, you're just using it to find your evolutions, and also you're just using it for the attack. This is just a random list that I saw, and I thought it was quite interesting. But looking at the other lists as well, this one is still playing the Pidgey and Pidgeot, and I think that's perfectly fine. I think playing a Pidgey and Pidgeot is perfectly fine, because you are still playing 2 Ray Candy. Means you can go, if you really want to use this guy, you can go straight Ray Candy into that guy, right? And then obviously you still have access to your Dragonair, which can now, for example, if you go Dawn and you go Noctowl for Dawn and a Ray Candy, now you can Dawn for this guy and the Pidgeot, and then get that established straight away. You can get Pidgeot established straight away. You can Pidgeot for whatever else you need. You can use this guy to get the Flareon in play, it just has a lot of potential. It really, really does. I really think this deck is pretty good. So, yeah. If I was going to play any, I think this list is really solid. Obviously, this is the Mega Dream format. This is the format that I've been playing in for a while now. It does feature Pokepad. Pokepad is just such a good card. You know, you go Pokepad for Noctowl, Noctowl for Hilda, Hilda for the Dragonair and the Energy, and then the Crystal or whatever, and then you can use this guy that there. I don't know. It lets you play the game a lot more freely, and I think that's something that this deck needs a little bit more of, the freedom, because right now you are forced into very specific lines because of your engine being the Noctowl engine, and I think the Kyriew line just opens us up a lot more, because at any given point in time you can just get the Kyriew and you can just start swinging for 330, right? And since it's only discard 2 energy, I think it's really good, because now you can just cross spin it next turn, right? And then do 330 again. And there's just not, post-rotation, there's just not a lot of decks swinging for 370. There just really is not a lot of decks. Ceruledge cannot swing for 370. It is just not a number it hits, right? Dragapult needs way too much to get into that 370, like, damage range. The only thing that I'd say is probably swinging for 370 is your Mega Dragonite. I mean, not Mega Dragonite, sorry, your Mega Charizard, which is 90 times, right? But even then, they have to discard 5 energy, right? If they discard 4 energy, they're swinging for 360, which is very nice. It is missing by 10, so shout out to that math, right? Obviously, if they discard 4, they're doing 450, which is way too much for us to deal with. But I mean, let's say we play Heroes Cape, bam, we have 470 HP. We are a big dog. We are a big guy, right? So yeah, I think this deck is going to be pretty good. I think this card is slept on. I really think this card is going to be good, just because of this guy, right? Same way Dragapult. Dragapult, sure, it has a really good attack, but would I think Dragapult is nearly as successful as it is right now without Dragonair? I mean, without Dracloak? Absolutely not. I think Dracloak is the reason that deck is so good, right? But yeah, that's about it. Peace.